like to call tonight's meeting to order and ask you to silence your phones if you have not done so yet. And please stand. He's not here for this. Yes. Stand for the invocation.
Heavenly Father, we just come to you and we just thank you for this day, and we just ask that you put your blessings upon us. Help us to make wise decisions for our city. And we pray these things in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I think the first thing I need to do is to ask Dean Myers and Ward Wallace if you either one have a quorum and do you need to call a meeting?
Yes, we have a quorum present, so we're calling a meeting to order for the Bowie agency.
And we also have a quorum, so we're also calling a meeting to order.
Thank you. All right, we have an item on the agenda for under items of community interest, a proclamation for the Texas Treasure Business Awards. I'm going to come out front. May I ask Cindy to join me? Yes. And I'll let you invite your. Do you want your? Okay. So we have a Texas Treasure Business Award. Cindy works on these for us and finds the most deserving businesses in our community, and tonight's most deserving business is Bowie Industries. So if you join me. Yes, I'm going to read the proclamation to you. She's going to want to take your picture. Ladies, come over here. All right, the Bowie Industries Texas Treasure Business Award. Whereas the Texas Treasure Business Award Program pays tribute to businesses that have provided employment opportunities and support to the state's economy for 50 or more years. Whereas Bowie Industries, located at 1004 East Wise, has been a staple in our community since 1953. Whereas the Texas Historical Commission presents this award to Bowie Industries for their exceptional contributions toward the economic growth and prosperity of Texas. And whereas Bowie Industries has been changing the landscape of the industry from the rotary gear pump to the mulching, creating rugged and dependable products and equipment proudly made in the U.S. of A. Whereas the company voluntarily utilizes their equipment and material for erosion control for a local community and school, and says in their motto, when it comes to landscaping needs, Bowie covers the field. And whereas the city of Bowie would like to extend our appreciation to the Meyer family for continuous service to the city of Bowie at Monte County, from the sand dunes of Iraq to the frozen tundra of Canada to the Winter Olympics, Bowie hydro motors have been there making history. Now therefore, the city of Bowie congratulates Bowie Industries for the accomplishment of being awarded the Texas Treasure Business Award. I have something for you, Cindy. All right, the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for the 2022 Annual Drinking Water Quality Consumer Confidence Report, of which Bert will be given to us.
Our water expert is not here.
Oh,
He had a-
wait, sorry, got to open the meeting for a public. 6:06, okay, now public hearing's open.
Okay.
Sorry, got it.
Our water expert's not here, so, and I only known this about 10 minutes, so this is gonna be a real short report. The main thing I can say about it is there are no violations in our water quality, of all the contaminants that could be in there. And the other thing of note is our total water loss, this year was 23,908 gallons, which is less than half of what it was when I got here. And that's a result of replacing a lot of water lines that need to be replaced, so I'm glad of that. If you need a copy or you want to see a copy, this report is on our website, so.
Any
Because
questions?
I don't know anything else.
Well, it won't do any good to ask you a question then, will it?
Well, I can fake my way through it, but that's about it.
All right, then we'll close the public hearing at 6:07. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an executive session with the Economic Development Corporation. So we will be leaving this room and entering the conference room for a deliberation regarding the economic development negotiations on a BEDC project. I'm going to go through these numbers, 2023-0320 MS, and consider a 4B Sales Tax Corporation project of 2021-2223 FC. So we will temporarily adjourn here at 6:07. So if you'll follow us to the conference room, we'll go there.
I got trouble one time when I
Okay, so the executive session closed at 6:19. We'll reopen the public session, 6:19. So the next item is action following the executive session. I would entertain a motion to accept an approval for project number 2023320MS from the BEDC.
So moved.
Jason, do I have a second?
Second.
Post? Brent?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Jason?
Aye.
And Post.
Aye.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve project 202122223FC from the 4B Sales Tax Corporation.
I move.
Y'all want to fight over it?
I'll second it.
Brent? Terry? Jason?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
And Brent.
Yes.
Okay, so all is approved. We thank you very much for all the work that you're doing for us, keeping our city going. And we will also like to tell you, you're not going to offend us if you leave. I can see that all
down,
over
slow down.
Alan's face.
Not so quick.
Y'all are not staying for my report? Hurt my feelings. They were commenting on it a while ago.
Came in to see me and you get up.
They were
Thank y'all.
commenting on it a while ago about, what is that? Is that CBDG? Is that marijuana or what?
All right, well then, while we're talking about it, let's just go right on into your report.
The engineering firm that is working on the old Bowie Lake Dam, which is company Baird, Hampton, and Brown, has completed the topographic survey of the dam. They inspected the dam and wrote about what they saw. They are about 25 to 30% done, and this has been a couple weeks ago with the modeling, and hope to wrap up the modeling next week, which they should already be finished. They're aiming at sending us a draft report on June the 30th, of which I have not seen yet, so we haven't gotten that. But anyway, we should have a report. We've already got a bill from them, of which we will be, the TCEQ will pay us back for that. So, but anyway, it's getting done. Texas Department of Agriculture has started the environmental review for the Community Development Block Grant Waterline Project on Hutchinson and Wichita Streets. If we get no comments from TDA or the public, then TDA will issue authority to use grant funds to begin the project. We've been fielding many complaints from citizens about Waste Connections, so I thought I would send them a letter letting them know that we are unhappy about getting all the complaints, but also because they should be getting the complaints directly to them. We had a face-to-face meeting about a month ago and let them know how unhappy we were, and they promised to do better. We're still having discussions about how they bill us and making sure that we get billed fairly. Hopefully services in the future will improve. If anyone on the council has been getting complaints, let me know as we work through their problem. Kind of a second to that is we've had further discussions with Waste Connections, and they have done better, and our complaints from citizens has dropped, well, maybe one a week now, and when we were having about 10 a day. So they are doing better and trying harder, so we're glad to hear that. I talked to Kevin Lerner at Government Capital, this has been 3 weeks ago now, about the loan for the Nelson Street Bridge project. He checked into the Texas Water Development Board covenant that required that we maintain at least 25% coverage on borrowed funds. He stated that we will be well within the required percentage for the loans. He said that we are looking in the range of mid to upper 4% interest rate, depending on the term of the loan. The payment will be in the range of $128,000 for 30 years, $155,000 for 20 years, and $252,000 a year for 10 years. I will let you know more as we go forward. Now we come to my complaint section of my report. I work on grants a whole lot, and it takes a lot of hours to put it together, and I'm talking about 50, 60, 70 hours just to put one grant application together. We were not chosen to receive the RAISE grant that I applied for last fall. They said that half of the grants were in the rural areas of the state. Of the 6 grants awarded in Texas, none were in rural areas. They said 2 were, but one was in Waco, and one was in Austin area, which is not rural Texas. Texas cities that received grants were Dallas area Rapid Transit in Collin County, a truck parking facility that they said was in a rural area outside of Austin, near the Tesla plant, Fort Worth, the Transportation Authority in Austin, and the city of Dallas, and inside the city of Waco. It's very disheartening when you learn that, and they say they build these things up for rural communities. They don't know what a rural community is. It almost makes me feel like I'm wasting my time applying for these grants. You can certainly tell that the grant application of these cities were done by professional grant writers with a lot of tools and graphics. But I don't think that affected it. I think you tell a story, you've got a story to tell. So if anybody wants to see where good old Joe Biden's money went to, I've got a list of the projects here in Texas. The Texas Water Development Board Sewer Line Project Phase 1. Bid opening will be here in offices August 1st at 1 p.m. And then the Nelson Street Bridge Project bid opening will be August the 2nd at 2 p.m. Just as a way of thanking, 35 companies have downloaded the plans for the Nelson Street bid project. So that's good news. Any questions?
What is the cost for engineering on the old Bowie Dam? Is that going to be 100% reimbursed by?
Yes.
Okay. And then,
I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been 100%.
yeah, I vaguely remember that part. But on the Waste Connections, how long does our contract with them run? And are they meeting like all they're expected to, or at what point do we get to there with them?
The contract is 20-year contract, isn't that correct? 20-year contract. We're probably 5 years into it because I think we signed the contract right after I came here. Their performance has been great up until about a year ago. They've had a tremendous amount of personnel changes, which has affected their business. And I think that was, our contract calls for, if I send a complaint letter, then they have to do something within 30 days, of which they have, to make the service better. In fact, I was called last Friday, and they said that their attorney would be sending us a letter in response, which is what they have to do officially to keep the contract going. But basically, it was a nice way of threatening them, I assumed that there was an out in the contract, but there wasn't an out. But if they don't live up to the service standards, then that's an out, and that's per our city attorney. So anyway, I think I scared them enough, and they are doing better, and we're glad to see that. We don't want to have any animosity between us. We want to try to work together with them, but we want to make sure that they're billing us properly. And I think we were overpaying them for the last couple of years because we were paying them on what they thought, not what actually was happening. And so it was a good deal on writing a letter and complaining to them. So it's working. Any other questions?
All right, well, let's move on to the consent agenda items. Your minutes are in your packet, and the write-offs are also in the packet. So I would entertain a motion to accept all as presented.
So moved.
Jason, do I have a second?
Second.
Post. Terry?
Aye.
Shaw?
Yes.
Post?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
The next item is the second reading of ordinance 2023-01, an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Business and Commerce of the City of Bowie Code of Ordinances, amending Article 4.200, Mobile Food Vendor, Section 4.202, Mobile Food Units, adding 2, for operational issues, the letter K, mobile food preparation vehicles shall also comply with the latest City of Bowie adopted version of the IFC Code on mobile food preparation vehicles, repealing any conflicting codes, ordinances, and orders, providing for a severability clause, adopting a savings clause, determining that this ordinance was passed in accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, and establishing an effective date. Terry, you were the only one that didn't hear this the first time, and all it does is bring us in compliance and tells the individual where to go to find the follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes sense, doesn't it? So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Post, do I have a second?
Second.
Love? Gunner?
Aye.
Shaw?
Yes.
Love?
Aye.
Post.
Aye.
Number 9 on the agenda is new business, discussion and action of ordinance 2023.02 an ordinance providing for a general election in the city of Bowie, authorizing the Montague County Elections Administrator to officially conduct the November 7, 2023 general election, setting forth council positions and terms, establishing regular and early voting places, and establishing an effective date. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion as presented.
Second?
I'll second it.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Yes.
Love?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
In your packet, there's also a Nortex Regional Planning Commission proxy and alternate designation. Are we just updating this? So it's an annual update? And it has Bert as number 1 and me as number 2? I think we've been that way for the last several years, haven't we?
Yeah, it's easier for me to go to the meetings, and I'm heavily involved in Nortex, and for Nortex, I deal with the Texas Department of Agriculture on the block grant program, so anyway, it's just easier that way.
Does everybody
Not
get
that I
this?
want to take anything away from you.
Not that I want to go. I want that recorded. I said I did not want to go to a meeting. All right, do I have an approval? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Love, do I have a second?
Second.
Post? Shaw?
Yes.
Gunner?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Love.
And just as a side note, if any of y'all ever want to go to the Nortex meeting, it's the third Thursday of each month, unless it's December, and they don't do it in December, but the rest of the time we do. If you want to go through, now, so you get a free barbecue meal, and it's a really nice lunch, and then you get to break bread with all the county judges from the area, which is so exciting. You'll like that. But there's a lot of things that we get out of Nortex, especially the grants, so it's valuable to go.
I do,
If you want to go, holler at me, I'll take you with me.
I want to back up here for a moment. What is the opening date to apply for office, to run for office in the city of Bowie?
July 24th.
That's a Monday.
Yes.
And the closing date?
August 21st.
August 21st, in case anybody's looking for those dates. All right, the next item on the agenda is a presentation of the draft of the 2023-2024 City of Bowie municipal budget. Everybody's been waiting for. I hope you had a chance to go over it, but we're going to ask Pamela to come to the podium.
Well, all right, Sandy, I'll move it, okay? Okay, good evening, Mayor and City Council. This draft budget is a balanced budget, and there's no property tax increase in this budget as it sits. We worked very hard. The department heads, majority of them streamlined their budget and wanted to give their employees a little increase because of the cost of living per the CIP. As you know, that went up 6-8%. So that's what they really worked on. And you'll see that throughout the budget, is the salary increase. Also, your water, sewer, and electric, as you know, it stayed pretty well flat. Per ordinance 2021-06, The wastewater revenue is based on that increase, which will go in effect. It says 10/1/2024, but it's actually 23. And that increase will be 96 cents per base rate on a residential and 17 cents per 1,000 gallons. There is a grant in there for the FEMA grant for the generators that's built in. The electric department did reduce because there's no electric poles that'll be purchased next year, and last year, remember, that was 350,000. So that's why the expenditures on that reduced. Within the general fund, you'll see a couple additional employees within the police department, but that's also, you'll see the revenue also increase for that, it's the SRO officers. Your fire department has asked for 3 additional full-time and 1 part-time employee due to increased calls. And also within this budget, there's the first payment for a new ambulance, and there's also a $50,000 down payment, or up to 75, depending on what the council decides to go out for the loan. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there. The street department is still short 1 employee. It's hard to get employees at this time to work in the heat for what we're actually offering to start their salaries at. The recreation department, the rehab and replastering of the swimming pool, the only estimate we received from the department head was out of Austin, and that's $70,000. I think staff's gonna go back out, mainly our city manager, and look for a reduced cost on that. We think we can possibly knock that in half to redo the pool. Also, we'd like to bring back in our rec department, and that's estimated at $7,000 per year for 10 employees for that short period of time. I do, in the finance department, I do have 1 more employee because the volume of reading the meters, we just couldn't keep up. We were using water and sewer employees, and then they were getting behind on their duties. So we decided we were splitting an employee, and then that didn't work either. So we just had to pull them in full-time, and we're keeping them quite busy. The community center, that increased due to the FEMA grant also on the generators. That is a 10% match. That is built in also. The city manager has proposed a 3 to 5% increase to try to offset some of the lower paid employees, our hourly employees, and try to get them to, we're tired of training. It costs money, time, and resources. So the training dollars might outweigh or benefit us if we were able to pay them a little bit more to start, so we don't have that constant turnover. Once we train them, possibly they'll stay if we can offer a little bit more. So he was offering a increase depending on the department head's discretion. And then our health insurance, it's probably gonna go up 12%. It might be a little high, but I don't have the total numbers yet. Everything's gone up, supplies, cost. And then TML IRP, that's gonna increase at least 15%. The reason for that is we did a complete payroll audit, which went up the last couple years, and we pay off of that for workman's comp. The amount of supplies, the cost, the valuations of our building has went up, so that's why that amount went up. All in all, it's a balanced budget. It's estimated at 21 million, a little over 800,000, which is about 600,000 more than last year. Majority of that salaries across, and the few grants that we have built in here for the FEMA and so forth.
So if we don't get the grants, though, that obviously goes away, or? how
That's
do those-
correct, that's correct.
Yeah, what you talk about the FEMA grants is we have, there'll be 90% grants, which we have to come up with
Put up 10.
10% of the money, so.
How much
But
dollar does that account for?
We've already been approved.
Uh,
I mean, we know we're gonna get,
We're gonna get some. We've got the grants for the water, basically it's a water plant, but there's other,
we got
3 or 4 more coming.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and budgeted for them just in case, because we're pretty confident we're gonna get them.
yeah. They've informed us that one of them is for sure, and the other 2 are most likely. So that's why we put that money in there.
The total grant's a little over 800,000, so the offset will be about 80,000 total. if that's what you were asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So you're saying on the salary increases, are you saying 3 to 5%, doesn't matter who it is, or you just talking strictly?
No,
about the
we
ones
have
that
a
are driving?
budget merit increase policy that which pretty much was verbal, but we put it in writing.
Mhm.
It's up to the department head, depending on their hourly wage, their attendance, the work they do, their productivity. They'll do an evaluation. And we're going back to old school, put it that way.
I don't see Stoney get any of that, so.
Well, that's up to your city manager on them. You might as well just get underneath your chair.
On the 3 fire department employees, was that, a grant was covering those for the last 2 years, is that correct?
No.
Partial? Did I just make that up?
This would be 3 new employees, or
It-
3 and a half.
Three new and a
By part-time,
right? Is that what you
yeah.
said?
That's correct. It does fit within the budget, and it is a balanced budget.
Do what? They can't hear her. Oh.
We do not, we're just discussing it anyway, so.
I know this. I know this. I was just informed when I came in that you guys are probably gonna set a workshop and go forward, but I just hit the highlights for you that way, okay?
That's perfect.
I didn't go through it all, and
That's perfect.
I didn't tell you how much, library spending compared to last year, all that good stuff,
Well, the workshop's good because you can really get in the meat of the thing and discuss things a lot better, I think, on the workshop, and kind of have opportunity to figure things out.
When we're looking at that additional, like I said, the meter reader or that person, that's added cost, shouldn't some of that be offset by the meter company who's made some promises and?
We tried, but they say it's on our connections and the radios frequencies where we put them, and new supplies have come out and so forth, and we haven't kept up to date. It's just been on and on and on.
So how
I'm
many of
not
those-
saying they haven't worked with us and sent us down a lot of new modules at little to no cost, but as far as reading them for those people, no.
Does it read, how many does it read?
Pardon me?
What's the percentage that it reads accurate?
Oh, I don't want to throw that out right now. I can answer that question for you at the workshop, okay?
So we,
We're reading between 600 and 800 a month.
Oh, that,
Electric company is, electric side of it's reading about 98%.
but, so they're reading 98% of them?
On electric side.
on the,
water side.
yeah, the water's a little different, and I didn't want to throw that percent out
Right.
because I don't know how many outside of city limits that are not reading.
Was that something we can fix? I mean,
We've been trying to fix it since I've been here, Terry.
It was a very, very, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but it was a very, very poor decision of previous council to buy that. They went out and bought the cheapest thing they could, and it doesn't work, it's never worked. We've tried and tried and spent money trying to get it to work. We've talked with Annexer and tried to get them to help us, and they do help us some, but it's just a piece of junk system, but basically what it is. We're reading the majority of the meters, the electric is just
Pulls in.
fine, but the water meters were unproven technology, and we still hadn't got it to work. And I mean, we continually change nodes out on the water meters and stuff, because, for example, if water, it tries to come on every hour and send a reading. If it doesn't make contact, it comes back on, it comes back on, it comes back on. The batteries are supposed to last for like 20 years, but they're running down within a year of when they're, because they never can make contact. And that's been a continuing problem. We've changed frequencies on the telemetry that reads those. It's been a never-ending battle. It was a poor purchase decision, is what it was.
well, with that being said, I just would like to say this then, because I don't see how it really, I mean, the council, or if we're saying the council made a poor decision on that, we would, I don't know who the council member was at that time right there, but I'm just saying, if we had something brought to us that was supposedly gonna be a good idea, obviously it worked on the electric side, you know, so.
What's that 98%, so it's working.
Yeah, so.
98%.
well, the-
98%.
Yeah, for the electrical side, but it was
Right.
not, it's lower percentage on the, so they wouldn't have known, you know, at the time whenever they agreed to do that, but, you know, a lot of that time is, that's what's brought to us to make a decision based on what we, the information that we've been gathered, that we can make good decisions on, so sometimes, you
What's in
know,
front of you at the time.
yeah, I mean, I just wanna make sure it necessarily wasn't it wasn't a good deal because it didn't work, but we wouldn't have known that otherwise unless it was something.
Well, and to make that perfectly clear, it was not a council decision that made that decision.
Okay.
It was somebody else's information that the council got.
Okay,
Yeah. And that's not all this new meter read does either. We have a lot of citizens moving in and out of the, city, and they have to go out and turn waters and electric off and turn them on and replace electric and water meters. That's not all they do, is just read the meters.
right. Because at the time, I remember that, when that was kind of going on, that was gonna be a great thing, but, well, I'm not gonna say it was a great thing because I didn't want people to lose their job, that we were trying to replace with technology, but if it was
Yeah.
gonna save the city some money, or we could utilize them somewhere else, that was gonna be great. Just so happened that it didn't pan out that way, so.
Are you hot or cold?
I'm hot.
It is warm in here.
So I've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
On the salaries, is the 5% already built into these numbers, or
It
once?
is.
Okay, so that's not going to change then. On the revenue, under utility, the departmental, is that the departmental fees from,
I did have to increase that from 1.25 to 1.35 million, an extra 100,000 into the general fund to make all this work.
so you've changed the name from transfer to departmental?
Well, departmental is more than just transfer.
Okay.
Within that whole little section, there's credit card fees and impact fees, so it just, over
Okay.
the heading, it's departmental.
So you've only had to increase it $100,000?
That's correct.
So, but there are no revenue increases on here except for the one that we planned for 2 years ago with the sewer?
Absolutely, you're correct.
Speaking of the credit cards and all that, what's the additional, if we're looking at our projected budget, adopted budget, and then we add another 10,000, but the revenue's the same, actually a little bit less, what's the extra there?
Okay, the offset also is in expenditures of the credit cards. More people are starting to use them now, we're paying out more, so the revenue's gonna come in more on the credit cards.
Even with the fees, they're paid
That's
using
right.
credit cards.
It's just a wash. No extra revenue, no expenditures. We hope that that's the way it works out, but after the data that I just received this afternoon, also what goes in there is our billing, try to get the offset of our billing, because we don't charge our, citizens for that, obviously. With stamps going up and more people asking to have them emailed and or mailed to their parents or their siblings or their children, that's an extra cost. And of course, Data Pros, which handles that for us, we send all our information, invoices to them, and they send it out for us. We don't actually do that part of it. Their cost increased also. Their service
Right.
increased.
Do we have to deliver them by paper, or?
No, some are emailed. It all depends on how our citizen would like them. We offer 2 different ways.
Paperless.
Well, we have to offer paper.
That's what I'm asking, I
Yeah.
guess, do we
Uh-huh.
have to offer
Yes.
paper?
Yeah, we
Yes.
have to offer paper.
Thank you. I didn't hear that part.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Did someone already ask why the street department went down 80,000?
Yes, because he's getting ready to work on that big project, and we're not buying a street sweeper this year.
Okay.
And that's why the increase, and he doesn't have the staffing. He wants to make sure he can finish that project with the staff that he has.
We're not buying a street sweeper this year?
She's trying to tell you that it went down because it was, you only did a payment on the sweeper. That's
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, it's only-
Purchasing outright.
That's right.
Say,
There's
so
not
we got a lot of
100,000.
flack for nothing.
There's not 100,000 in there to put down on it.
Gotcha.
Okay,
They're giving us like 30,000 for the whole budget, right?
that's correct.
What did you anticipate our ad valorem taxes going up this year in revenue?
About 30,000 is all we did, 24 in this budget. Then we get the hard numbers. We know we'll hit that amount.
First numbers I got was about, and this is before all of the ARB, the audit stuff, and the people contesting it, but it figured out right at 40,000. And I'm sure it'll be less because it always drops.
Yeah. That's why you and I discussed, you know,
Yeah.
24 to 28 was a safe bet. That way we didn't have to go looking for revenue.
So this budget, there's no major equipment we're buying the first payment on the ambulance. This is mostly personnel and personnel raises. Is the raises gonna be per department on how they wanna deviate it, or are they gonna?
Per
just all
department
across the board?
heads, how they want to deviate it, yes, sir. It's not straight across the board, put it that way, because some employees were just hired 2-3 months ago, and
Right, right.
it would be up to the department head. And the city manager, of course, he has to sign off.
Let me tell you this, that the department heads as a whole did a wonderful job. They put together some sharp numbers. I met with each one of them, and we talked about, and some of them I increased because I thought they were undercutting themselves and stuff, and some of them I cut, because, you know, it just looked like we could save that much money there, but it was pretty much through agreement and whatnot, and, so, but I guess what I'm trying to say is they did a heck of a job, so I appreciate their efforts on this.
Okay, is that it, Miss?
Is that it for
Mrs.
her?
Mayor?
Anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you, Pamela.
You're welcome.
All right, the next item on the agenda is to set up a workshop on the budget. I had originally told Sandy that I would want to do something maybe Thursday or Friday, but her plans have changed. She's doing something Thursday or Friday. I would like to do something midday, but that's probably tough on most of y'all. So it looks like if you are wanting a workshop over this, then it needs to be next Monday night. Now, we don't have to set, well, we do, you're leaving. We got to make this determination tonight,
I think Monday'd be great.
if that's what y'all want to do. It's just going to be a workshop. It won't be a special call meeting. It'll just be a workshop. And it'll just be over the budget. So is that something that you all want?
Sure.
All right,
Monday the 17th.
Monday the 17th, is that doable for everybody?
What time?
6 o'clock, I guess, 5:30. What time can y'all get here?
5:30 works good.
Does 5:30 work for you, Jason?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Does that have to be voted on? Okay, so I need a motion for us to, what is this month? July 17th at 5:30 workshop.
So move.
Gunner, do I have a second?
Second.
Post, Shaw,
Yes.
Love,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
Gunner.
Aye.
All right, so we will meet next Monday in the conference room for a workshop. We need to set a public hearing for the proposed budget for August the 14th. Will that be in our meeting, in our council meeting? So that's a scheduled meeting for August.
I'll be here.
How do we work that one out? One day off. So that'll be in our first August meeting. Do we need to vote on that one too? So I need a motion to set a meeting for a public hearing on the budget for August 14th.
That's is that when we have to do it?
Pretty much.
Okay. I won't be here, so I'll just be out of country. It's fine.
I need a motion to set the public hearing.
So moved.
Love, do I have a second?
Second.
Post, Shaw,
Yes.
Gunner,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
Love.
Aye.
public comments? Do I have anybody in the audience that has any public comments? If not, then I'm gonna close the meeting at, I don't know, 6:54.
You too late.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just name those two vortex.
That's why they sent me